Howdy, folks. This is good old JR Jim Ross. I want to thank you for downloading the Ross Report, and I certainly want to thank all the sponsors. We've got some great sponsors who make this possible every single week.
He's considered the greatest broadcaster in wrestling history. And now, WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross brings his legendary voice and his famous friends to the podcast world. Welcome to the Ross Report.
All right, folks, here we go. Slobber Knocker Audio is on the air, and my special guest, the big man himself, Ryback, is coming your way. Should be a great conversation with the big guy, covering his departure from WWE, Ryback's relationship with Vince McMahon, the head honcho there at WWE, of course. And we'll set the record straight on issues that it has been rumored that Ryback has had with CM Punk, John Cena, and even Paul Heyman. What the hell is going on? We'll talk to Ryback momentarily, ladies and gentlemen. But first, here's what's on my mind. Certainly big news coming out of Orlando because we finally have our game plan in place for our two matinees, WrestleMania weekend at Plaza Live in downtown Orlando. What we have is this, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to do two separate shows on Saturday and on Sunday. On Saturday, I'll be joined on stage by the award-winning author, novelist, Paul O'Brien, who wrote the trilogy Blood Red Turns Dollar Green, which you must read if you haven't. And he's also co-writing my autobiography. And we'll be joined by Tony Schiavone. So it will be the first time ever that Tony Schiavone and I will be on stage together to talk about the Monday Night Wars. So Paul O'Brien was a fan at that point in time, followed it very closely from Ireland, and it's really going to be a unique conversation with the three of us and your questions and our answers. So it should be a lot of fun. The Monday Night Wars will be our primary topic on Saturday in Orlando with Tony and I and Paul O'Brien, but we'll take your questions on anything that you choose to ask about. And by then, too, on Saturday, we'll know how the WWE Hall of Fame went. We'll be talking a little bit about the upcoming NXT show that night and the next day's WrestleMania. And then on Sunday, we'll do yet another different show, and I'll be joined on stage by Bruce Pritchard and Jim Cornette, and we will talk about WrestleMania. It will be an unofficial, unsanctioned, unauthorized WrestleMania pregame show at Plaza Live with myself, Jim Cornette, and Bruce Pritchard. All of us have performed at WrestleManias. All of us have been involved in creative at WrestleManias. So you won't find a more unique panel of experiences and background than Brucey Love and Jim Cornette. Damn it, Queen Kenny, son of a bitch. Kill him. Get corny. So Corny and Bruce and I will have a lot of fun, as you can tell. It'll be a lot of fun. And on Saturday and Sunday, our show is going to be emceed by Tyrus of Fox News, Greg Gutfield Show, and, of course, Impact Wrestling. He will be manning the mic. He'll be the guy that you, if you're in the audience, that you'll be interacting with as to give us your questions. So we got a lot of fun things planned. I like the topics. I like the fact that Schiavone and I have never been on stage together to address our respective roles in the Monday Night Wars and anything else you want to ask us about, including our days in WCW together. Paul O'Brien's there as a guy that is extremely intelligent as far as the wrestling business is concerned, a very highly acclaimed author. You're going to be extremely excited to hear what he has to say. And he's a lot like you, all of us. He's a fan. So that'll be a fun day on Saturday. And then on Sunday, Bruce, Corny, and myself with an unauthorized pregame show for WrestleMania. All emceed both days by Tyrus. So I think you can see we've got a very unique program established. There are some VIP tickets available for both shows. That gets you a meet and greet with myself. If the other guys want to come to the meet and greet, that's their call. Certainly they're welcome. But I'll be there for the meet and greet for you, personalized autographs, photo ops, a little chat from noon to 2 is the VIP stuff. Then at 2:30 we start our show, It'll be over around 4 o'clock, give you plenty of time to make your evening engagements. So that's the big news out of Orlando. And if you want to be a part of it, again, the VIP tickets are going fast. I think there's maybe 50 left for each day, maybe. And they're at ticketfly.com, ticketfly, ticketfly.com for tickets for both days, starting at $25 for general admission. I think you'll not find a better value in Orlando for the weekend. Very unique shows, very unique guests, compelling topics, and your Q&As, limited to no topic. So I think you'll have some fun with that. A tough week for us in the wrestling world the last week or so with the passing of George the Animal Steele, the Russian Bear Ivan Koloff, Chavo Guerrero, all in-ring greats who passed away recently. And no, I haven't forgotten Nicole Bass, who certainly was a significant radio and television personality. To say that Nicole, rest in peace, by the way, belongs in the same topic as or sentence with wrestlers like George the Animal, Ivan Koloff, and Chavo would not be fair to the men or to Nicole. But we miss all those people. They were people I knew. I've had a lot of interaction with. I called all of them friends. Certainly had a lot of respect for these people. And it's you just never know. You know, that's why we say at the end of the show every week, our tomorrows are never guaranteed, and by golly, they're not. So those men and women, that woman will be missed. And they make great contributions to our business, without question. I had a meeting in Leicester, England, when I was there for What Culture, taping their show, their 1 hour show, Loaded, and met with ITV. The ITV plan to reinstate World of Sport is not a dead plan whatsoever. We had a very good meeting on Monday. I did with ITV, discussing possibilities and what needs to be put in place to make it work. Understand that Jeff Jarrett and the owner of Anthem had a meeting with ITV on Thursday on the same topic that I was meeting with them on, so it's all the same piece of business. And we hope the business will pick up, obviously. So ITV really wants this to happen. I think we'll know something within the next week or so. They're coming to Los Angeles, ITV's top representative, to meet with my agent this week. So that's all positive. It's moving forward in a nice way. So fingers crossed. I'll just tell you this. If ITV gets back in the wrestling business, it's going to change the landscape in a large degree in Britain. It's going to give everybody that's on the ITV show a boost. It's going to be good for careers. It's going to increase their bookings. Your what you can charge in a fair price way. It's just going to be a win-win for a lot of people if ITV gets back in the wrestling business. And, of course, that's assuming that the wrestling show that they broadcast will be a compelling 1 hour TV show. And why the heck would you get in the business if you weren't going to make a compelling television show? So we'll keep you updated, but the ITV World of Sport idea, concept is still alive and well, and I think we'll know something about it, yay, nay, or indifferent, within the next week or two. Congratulations, of course, to Diamond Dallas Page. DDP is going into the WWE Hall of Fame. We're certainly proud of that accomplishment for DDP. I said this, I mean this in the nicest of ways. He is the biggest overachiever that I've ever worked with in my 40-plus years in pro wrestling. Diamond started late, didn't have a lot of formal training in wrestling. He made it on his own. He overachieved. He made himself physically pleasable for promoters to look at and to utilize. Just hard work, I guess the bottom line. Dallas Page, through hard work and will and passion, willed himself to becoming a major star in wrestling. And he was great. He's a great communicator, great negotiator. Just did a hell of a job. So I'm very happy that Dallas is getting recognized. He's done so many great things for many of his peers like Scott Hall and Jake Roberts. Mick Foley just recently lost 100 pounds, largely in part to DDP Yoga. They've been a great sponsor of our show. But Dallas certainly deserves this distinction, and I'm really, really proud for him. I just think it's absolutely great. And I hear that it may be that Beth Phoenix is going to be the female inductee this year. I don't know if there's a quota for you get one female or one African-American or one whatever, but generally I don't think there's two women that have gone in the same year yet. Maybe that's going to happen this year. I don't have a clue, but I think Beth Phoenix is going to be is on that short list. And if so, my black hat is off to WWE. She's a great selection, a great pick. And both Dallas and Beth, if she gets in, are going to be people that will be very strong keepers of the ring. They're not going to embarrass you over anything. They're not going to embarrass the company. They're not going to embarrass the Hall of Fame brand. And I, for one, have always thought that, much like the Heisman Trophy brand and how it's marketed with the Heisman organization, that the WWE Hall of Fame brand could be marketed much the same way with merchandise and things of that nature, and business opportunities for the Hall of Fame guys to be involved in, things of that nature. And I think that probably will be something that could evolve in time in WWE, quite frankly. But the Hall of Fame is a great brand, and if Dallas Page, he's in, and if Beth Phoenix is inducted, that's two more great selections. So, hey, you got a good class there. Kurt Angle, Rock and Roll Express, Teddy Long, all good stuff, man. And Teddy Long, by the way, will be on this show next week. We'll talk to Teddy about his. It wasn't easy being a young black man in the 60s and not knowing what you want to do, and it's tough. Yeah, he's got some great stories, and now he's gone from the ring crew to Hall of Fame. Really proud of Teddy Long, and we'll talk to him next week. And Shawn Michaels the week after, so we got some good guests coming up too, by the way. Hey, Kurt Angle is so good at the What Culture pay-per-view True Destiny. I left there thinking, hey, I know that Vince McMahon is a really smart guy, and I know that the people that surround him, like his son-in-law, are a really smart guy, no doubt. And if they see 5 minutes of the Kurt Angle Alberto El Patron match from True Destiny, it's going to answer all their concerns about should Kurt Angle have one more match, or one or two more matches. Absolutely, in my view, the match with Angle at El Patron at What Culture was kicked ass. It was a hell of a main event. They closed an outstanding wrestling show that I hope you'll check out if you get a chance on the What Culture YouTube channel, or I think you get on the VOD side of Fight, F-I-T-E, Fight app. So, nonetheless, congrats, DDP. I'm proud of you, buddy. Proud of you, brother. And Beth Phoenix, hope you're next. I'll also be in Orlando on Thursday. Huge kickoff celebration and a Q&A with Ric Flair and Sting. It'll be the first time I'll be on stage with Rick since we were at the infamous SummerSlam symposium that helped necessitate my exit from the company. And so I'll be there with Rick and Sting for that. Matt Stryker is going to be the MC for your Q&A, so you ought to join us for that. It should be a hell of a lot of fun. And maybe we'll talk about the Clash of Champions 1, where Flair and Sting had their 45-minute draw. A great match, by the way. And then Friday morning at WrestleCon, I'll be rejoined with Jerry the King Lawler, ladies and gentlemen. The King. JR and the King will be together for a couple hours on Friday morning at WrestleCon, and you can get all your information for those events at WrestleCon.com. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Orlando going on. But I think you're going to love our show concept, and I hope that you'll get tickets at ticketfly.com to join us on Saturday and Sunday for these unique shows. And that, folks, oh, by the way, I must say, on Raw Monday night, I really thought Kevin Owens damn sure may have stole the show in the very first segment. Really good promo. I love the way it was shot. I love the close-up. His face filled the camera, filled the screen, I guess I should say. And but Kevin Owens delivered the goods on Monday night with that promo. And that's not easy to do. He went out there and he remembered his lines, or he remembered his direction, and more importantly, he delivered the verbiage to where I remembered most of it. That's good. That's really good. So I tip my hat to Kevin Owens for that. I tip my hat to Big Show for being unselfish and making Braun Strowman look even bigger than life. So hats off to Big Show on that as well. I still don't understand. I understand getting Roman Reigns and Strowman back together because they're going to work at the next pay-per-view. I get that. I just don't understand the run-in thing, and I don't know who it helps. Does it make Reigns a hero to run in and attack Strowman, or does it not? I don't know. It's funny. I'm conflicted. Obviously, I didn't get a good feel for it, and I like Roman Reigns. I just don't understand the play calling on that situation. Maybe I just missed it. Maybe I just didn't hear the message or something. So I'll take the heat. I don't mind doing that either on my own show. I just don't know how it worked. So, but again, hats off to Kevin Owens for the promo. Big Show for doing such a great job of taking care of Braun Strowman, who WWE, by the way, has done a really good job of building. I can only hope that when Strowman and Reigns wrestle at the pay-per-view, that Strowman wins. You don't run up to the edge and say, okay, we're not going to keep on moving here. Come on. Good job, WWE, with Strowman. Just don't stop. Keep it going. And that's what's on my mind. Well, he's an entrepreneur these days for sure. No doubt about that. The big guy, Ryback. Yes, sir. He owns and runs his own business, doing some nutritional stuff. And I think him being an entrepreneur, he's going to listen very closely to what I got to say about Stamps.com. Because Stamps.com, folks, brings you the power of the post office right to your desk, wherever your desk is. My desk is at my home. I work out of my home. And being involved with Stamps.com is the best thing that I've done for my home business. It brings the post office, as I said, right to your desk whenever you need it. You don't have to worry about the post office hours. Every time I want to go to the post office, oh, damn, it's closed. It happens to me all the time. You don't have to deal with getting in your car and driving to your local post office ever again. You can buy and print U.S. postage for any letter or package using your own computer and printer. Let me say that one more time. You can buy and print U.S. postage for any letter or package using your own computer and printer. It's perfect, folks, for all of us entrepreneurs. It's easy, and it's convenient. And best of all, because it's on your computer, you can access it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your office at home never closes. Mine doesn't. And I'll tell you something, with my crazy schedule these days, being able to take care of business at night or really early in the morning has helped me tremendously. You folks know that I've been working on my book. Paul O'Brien and I got this book. We're going to have it out to the publisher by the first of the month. I got some crazy hours because Paul's in Ireland. I'm in Oklahoma. And I got Stamps.com ready to go. I can tell you that. So when I get ready to send out advance copies, I got it handled. I am in business. I'm not running to the post office. I'm doing my work. I'm saving all that time by not having to lug packages to the post office. And right now, folks, if you use my promo code REPORT, you can take advantage of this special 4-week trial that includes postage and a digital scale. So go to Stamps.com, click on the radio microphone at the top of the page, and type in my promo code REPORT. That's Stamps.com, folks, and use the promo code REPORT to start your 4-week trial. Stamps.com. Never go to the post office again.
Everybody knows that February is the shortest month of the year. But at Podcast One, we aren't taking any breaks. We've got a boatload of new shows coming your way this month. Like 2 from Forbes, Under 30, and The List. Or Postmortem with Mick Garris. And Clipcast, the official, unofficial podcast of the LA Clippers. But we're not done. Still to come this month, The Tea with Roxy Diaz and Nina Parker. The Raven Effect from Pro Wrestler Raven. A little bit of Growing the Dynasty with Jeff and Jessica Robertson. Plus, in upcoming weeks, shows from Kim Zolciak, Dina Tori Spelling, Retronauts, and many more. To get more details, go to podcastone.com now. Podcastone.com.
He was certainly one of the most impactful young athletes that WWE had seen in a long, long time. And I got him on the program now. I'm talking to Ryback. How you doing, big fella?
Oh, I'm doing great, Jim. How you doing today?
I'm very good, man. Thanks for coming on and catching up. It's been a long time since we talked.
It's been a very long time. I think the last time I sat down and had a conversation with you was overseas on an England tour, I think on a TV day. I think we were both up early in catering, and not too many other people were in there, and we sat at the same table, and that was the last time I really remember talking to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I never had a lot of interaction over the years, but we've had a few conversations.
Sure.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. We'll let the folks know that you're on Twitter at Ryback22. You got a relatively new website. Tell us, how do we find you there?
So it's feedmemore.com, and it is everything the big guy Ryback is. Everything from my book, Wake Up, It's Feeding Time, the motivational book by the big guy Ryback, and my baby and my bread and butter, Feed Me More Nutrition, which I'm very, very passionate about. That is the home base for Feed Me More Nutrition, and that is up and running. So that is feedmemore.com is my home base.
Before you got into wrestling, were you always have an entrepreneurial spirit, so to speak?
No, I was always a sports guy, Jim, and I think so. My time in WWE, I'm very thankful, for everything wrestling related in my time in WWE. All I like to do is share my truth from my experiences there. And early on, I always talked about I rode alone, and I rode with guys early on in my career. But on those car rides, Jim, I look at that as very valuable time to myself, anywhere from 3 to 6 hours on a lot of nights, where I could listen to audiobooks and learn about anything I wanted to learn about and get a free education on the road while still doing what I love to do and wrestling and going to the gym 3 hours a day and wrestling every single night and still being around the guys more than I'm around anybody else. And I cherish that time, and it was during that time when I really I discovered that the ultimate freedom in life is being able to work for yourself and to be able to have to use your creative juices and do whatever you truly want to do. And it all kind of stems early on my time in WWE.
I'm experiencing that now in my life post WWE as well. I've kind of been on that same path, and you're right. It's exhilarating. But as a kid, I was always looking for a little entrepreneurial opportunity. But really, when you're in WWE as an independent contractor, you are your product, and you automatically are forced to become somewhat of an entrepreneur because, quote unquote, you got to get yourself over.
Absolutely, and they always would preach that to everybody, and I created my brand and everything within it, and that was one of the things too that was always really conflicting with me. Is I've always had all these, since being there, I had these other goals and with my brand, and then I have all these big ideas that I want to do, and it's sometimes it's very conflicting, with the schedule there and whatnot. But you touched on something, you've always had, that entrepreneur spirit in you, and I think from a guy named Grant Cardone, who I read a lot of his books, and one of his books is called Sell or Be Sold, but it talks about too that the key's selling what you're passionate about and what you believe in, and it's not like I walked out of WWE and I'm doing stuff that I'm not passionate about. I'm truly, truly passionate about each and everything that. Every hand that I have my jar, every jar I have my hand in, I'm truly passionate about it. That's key, and it makes waking up fun every morning. So I'm loving it.
It's a cool thing when you are at a place in life, and I've mentioned this on the show before. I feel very blessed, and I think it sounds that you're the same way, that everything I'm doing now is by my choice, and everything I'm doing now is something that I have fun doing.
I'd be lying to you if I said that as much as I am loving everything right now, and I'm wrestling every weekend for the most part, once or twice every weekend, and I would be lying if I said I didn't miss, I watched part of the Royal Rumble, and, I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss that atmosphere and that adrenaline rush, because I walked away at a time that I didn't want to necessarily walk away at, but I knew I had to, at that point in time, to do these things I want to do right now to set me up for later in life. And but it's just so there's nothing like it, being able to just work for yourself and being able to have that control, and it's a great feeling.
Absolutely. And as old Don King would say, only in America.
Absolutely.
Only in America, baby. Well, let me ask you a question. And I've got this theory, and that's all it is a theory, but I've often said when people ask me about my time in talent relations in WWE, it always comes down in the Q&A to why did somebody leave? Well, I've always said, without naming any names, because it doesn't matter, you just fill in the blank, that the vast majority of talents that depart WWE, leave for one of the two C's. The two C's meaning cash or creative, or a combination of both. Did you leave WWE because of one of the two C's?
Creative, absolutely. Cash-wise, and I've openly talked about this. Vince, I mean, we had many discussions, and I got to say, working for talent relations, as you did, it's not an easy job. You have to play both sides of the fence there, and it ultimately there's always a no-win situation, it seems like. But I directly was going to Vince and to Hunter, and then to Vince on many different occasions, especially that last year. In this day and age, the money is different than what it used to be. They have such control over everything now, and there really is no other place to go to get that kind of the kind of contracts that WWE has, essentially. And Vince, my last few months there were just so disheartening. But from what our last conversation, the money he offered me, which I openly have talked about, and he went up considerably, doubled what they were getting me, which at that time was like the contract. I believe there were 8 or 9 guys they were trying to lock down of us here for the next, 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And he was one of them. And I've always been figured in, whether the creative was great or not. I've always been figured in, and I'm always thankful for that. Cash-wise, it wasn't an issue. To me, it was more branding, because I created all this stuff when I was not in WWE. And it was knowing what I know and what I've talked about. And I can repeat myself, all day long on this, but I truly believe my entire situation with WWE stemmed from my ankle injury and the lawyers having to be brought in for that, them trying to fire me. And I was never going to, I feel in my heart, be allowed to amount to anything past where they were letting me, where they would show signs where they were going to, run with me, and then they would pull it back because they knew how bad that ate away at me. And creative was definitely 100% the biggest issue. And I just had to get away. And it was like I said, I could sit around there, and you know this better than anyone, guys, just sit around and bitch and cry and moan. And you can only do that for so long. And ultimately, I respect Vince enough. I was like, you know what? He created this world of his. And it comes down to, do I agree with everything he does? No. But at the end of the day, he has the final call and the final say on everything. And I could either sit around and be unhappy and keep bitching and crying and keep trying to fix things, and even though it wasn't doing any good, or I could, I could walk away and take control of my life, my destiny, and put my hard work to great use, because I know how hard I worked. And it was just one of those, timing was everything was telling me to go. So
I've read some of your interviews, some transcripts of some previous interviews you've done, and I thought it was, and you just mentioned it here moments ago, that Vince created his own world, and it's a world that he is very comfortable functioning in. And this is not a diss, but I don't know how comfortable he is functioning in the quote-unquote real world, because he had much rather reside in his world. And, my wife and I were talking about that years ago, and she brought up the point that Vince reminded my wife of Oprah Winfrey and Michael Jackson, in that they both basically did the same thing. They created their own universe that they lived within, and they functioned really, really well there. Now, I'm not saying that Oprah doesn't function well outside her world, but the point being is that a lot of wealthy people can do that. They can create they got their own staff, they got everybody, everything they need, they provide for themselves. And even though that may make it challenging, Ryback, for guys like you and me that want to work or did work in WWE, but the bottom line is that we all know the rules. At some point, we all realize what the house rules are there.
Yeah, and that's what, absolutely. You said, it's just, why would he want to work anywhere else when he can work for himself? And I'll never knock him on that or anything on that front, and all, the fans are very opinionated about different things and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I know there are a lot of guys there that aren't happy. I could have stayed, and I set myself up, and I made some smart decisions early on in my career when I saw the way things were going, when I was running hot, and we did away with all that. And I knew I was like, well, it's going to be really hard to capture this again, because why would you throw this away when things were going the way they were? And I just kind of, I prepared myself for down the road, for the 4 years down the road, and when the time was finally available, it was an easy decision. Although it was easy inside knowing what I knew I wanted to do, but it was like, do I miss parts of it? Absolutely, with some of the guys, but it was absolutely necessary, and I'll never knock Vince for creating his own world and his own rules. That we all know what we get ourselves into.
Yeah, I'm still at 65 trying to create my own world, and I think it's a good goal to have.
Why not?
Why not, right? Hey, you got a real good grasp of this whole scenario, and I love the fact that you don't sound bitter and angry. If young guys, knowing your journey, young wrestlers, let's say performance center level wrestlers, the new ones, what's a couple of pieces of advice based on your experiences that you would give them on that might increase their chances of becoming a main event level performer in WWE? Your mindset and confidence right off the bat, and it's believing in yourself, not when necessarily nobody else does. And I'm a firm believer, confidence, Jim, comes from when you truly spend yourself and apply yourself at every level as hard as you can, and know that you're giving it everything you got to just improve one day at a time. It develops a confidence inside of you, and these guys coming into the performance center can be very overwhelming when you're in developmental or NXT now, and you see all these guys around you, and you see the way the system works, and you have to find a way to stand out in this day and age. And for me, it was always just be the best big guy I could be, and be as well-rounded as I could be. And for me, conditioning was always, Jim, the most important thing. And it's always things that guys that work me, I always remember reading early on, guys like on the things in social media, and fans would say I couldn't do a 5-minute match or a 10-minute match or a 15, and then it went to 20, and I can't wrestle half an hour. And you ask anybody that's ever been in the ring with me how my conditioning is, and you will get the real answer on that. I have always spent myself doing things like burpees and jump rope and hard conditioning, blow-up conditioning, because I feel like if you look throughout the history of wrestling, for the most part, and there's always exceptions to the rule, but the top-level guys, or guys that were considered the best in-ring workers or the best talent, all had superb conditioning in that field. No doubt.
And I feel that is something that you cannot slack on. And I like, for me now, my wrestling schedule is so much lighter. I was used to wrestling, 4 or 5 nights a week for the last 5 years. And now I'm wrestling, I was off for 4 or 5 months when I had my ear and nose surgery when I left WWE. And then I went back and I just started wrestling again. But one thing I did was I did my burpees and my conditioning, and I found that even though I'm out of the ring for longer periods of time, that my in-ring ability hasn't changed. In fact, it's improved, and it's because my conditioning is on point. And I feel that, once you get past the bumps and you learn that, the basics of pro wrestling, and we could always all grow and evolve and get better. But conditioning is the single-handed most important thing that you'll have in your corner, and it is what separates the greats from the champions, and then from the good and from the average to the bad. It is all conditioning on that level, outside of creative, obviously, but from an in-ring standpoint, there's nothing more important than those 3 things.
Good. That's good advice to those guys. I would think another thing you would add is, if possible, develop a good communication link between yourself and the chairman, if you can.
Absolutely, and that was something, Jim, that always, and I've talked about this on other things. And me and Vince, we had a lot of conversations at many different points, and it was always one of the most disappointing things to me. And again, it all kind of stems, I know, from the ankle situation. And I always felt like if he wanted me to have his number and have that closer relationship, that's on his end, because he's in that high position where I feel like certain guys would go in there and try to get his number or things like that to have. It just felt like it was forced. I mean, I never wanted to force anything with him, and we had very open discussions, but we never got to that. that level. And I knew there were guys much lower on the card who are not used in any way, shape, or form in the role that I even was, that had that access to him. And that always bothered me. You know, Hunter, I always, me and Hunter had a different, where we talked early on, and he's always made his number available to anyone for the most part, and I know on his end. But I definitely think, you know, it's a creative business, and like we said, it's his world. And so if he doesn't like you, and I know there's guys there now that he's sour on and things like that, and I always wondered, like, why haven't they got in there and communicated, and it's like they're just living week to week. And I've heard you and other people always talk about this day and age, a lot of guys walk on eggshells, and that's what I'm proud of myself. I've always stood up for myself, and I've communicated when I thought Hunter was against me on things, and I've talked to him about it. Do I think he was always honest with me? No. But I always approached him and tried to talk him into gain ground, because if I don't, nothing's going to change. So I had nothing to lose. And I definitely think it's something, you got to get rid of that fear mindset very early on. And most of the guys won't. And that's just being honest on the situation. But the ones that do will do themselves the biggest favor in helping themselves as they get to the main roster if they have that opportunity.
I tried to have a good rapport, obviously, with all the talent because, you know, I was working with them. But I can tell you that a lot of them were leery, almost intimidated to talk to Vince. And he always hated it. I'd kid him about, you know, you're the most intimidating man in the wrestling business. You're the most powerful man in the wrestling business. And basically about what you say can change an individual's entire lifestyle. He would get so, not angry, he would get frustrated. And because, you know, part of my spiel was tongue-in-cheek, but it was ribbing on the square, as they say, because it was true. You know, it is true.
A lot of talent, too, and I've said this, and I do believe this is a problem in wrestling today. I feel that a lot of the talent, it's hard to get. They're so used to being fans, and most of the guys that make it in this business, Jim, are all hardcore fans, and guys like myself. I grew up watching it from a very young age and always wanted to do it, and I always said that was one of the reasons why, with the exception of certain talents that are just freak athletes, that pick it up really quick. But for the most part, if you don't have a love and a passion for this, which I feel it stems from watching at an early age and developing a relationship with pro wrestling, that it's hard to make it in this. But the guys that have all made it all come from you typically being huge fans of it, and I feel like they have a hard time separating that you know, now this is. They're there now, so you got to kind of step out of from being a fan and look at it as a business. And you know, if I was, you know, running my own company and I had many different employees, I wouldn't want them avoiding me. Would I want them knocking on my door every second bothering me? No, but I would like them to feel like the door was always open, so to speak. And I know Vince has always said that, and he's never, you know, he's been busy before, but he's never told me not, you know, even when I know he's been pissed. He's always made time to talk. So, and if you just put yourself in the role of being a boss, and you would want your employees to be able to communicate with you. And I think it's a fine line of knowing when you're bothering somebody, and when you're there and you have a legitimate reason to talking to them. And he was always great on that.
I used to give talent this advice. You tell me if I give them good advice or not when talking to Vince, and that was, if you're going to talk to the big Irishman, converse, don't confront. Because if you confront him in his world, you lose. Converse.
Oh yeah, that's great advice. And you know, he calls the shot. And like you said, if you piss him off, that's the wrong guy you want to piss off. And I feel like he's been around, you know, his whole life in this. And not to say that he's going to fire you or anything like that, but he'll win at the end of the day. Because he holds the pen and he holds the paychecks, and you better be prepared to leave if that is the way that you go in.
Yeah, well, who wins in Dallas when there's the final decision being made for the Cowboys? Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
And absolutely. Robert Kraft has the final say, even above Belichick in New England. And here's, if people say, I don't know how can they do that? Well, they own the team. All their money was put into this game. And these guys, the Jason Garretts and the Belichicks are making massive monies for doing what they love to do, coaching football. but they're making millions of dollars doing it on their owners dying. The owners should have the last say. I can tell you this: when I grew up in Oklahoma, I knew who had the last say at my house, but the old man.
Oh yeah, I think that goes to without saying. And it's just, I think fans and people and that, like you said it best. You know, when we get into this, we know what we're essentially that's what we're getting into, and not to say not to use, for lack of a better word, employee, but that's, you know, essentially what you are, you know, when you work within that company or any other sports organization outside of the guy that owns the company.
Right.
And you have to respect that, and that's what I did, and I do. And you know, that doesn't mean I'm not gonna speak about what happened and tell the truth, because I'm pissed off about a lot of things, but I'm also have used it to fuel me and to motivate me into doing a lot of other causes.
Did you ever have any chats with Vince about nutrition, training? Both of you guys had that passion in common. And the other thing, I read a story, which is news to me, because I was way out of the loop, that you had were on testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, which is kind of in the news now. You know, it's nothing unusual. How was that matter addressed? Because you look so devastating, you look so amazing that people will give you a lot of BS because, hey, I thought they had a wellness policy. You know, Ryback looks like he's gassed to the gills. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. I fought that my whole life. Yeah.
Have you always been heavy muscled? Is that just your DNA?
High school, my senior year, I was 240 pounds naturally in the summer going after my senior year, Jim. And I started working out when I was 11, 12 years old. I always used to see my mother doing the aerobic, you know, workouts, the Jane Fonda videos, and she took her supplements, and I always kind of was fascinated by that. And I started, you know, I grew up, you know, the internet became a thing, and I was able to start going online and start researching. And that was like my wrestling and fitness were the two things that I just always were really drawn to. And both, luckily for me, wrestling was always the answer because it includes everything that I love. And I just always loved working out. And I remember, I talked about this earlier, I think it was on my podcast, but I was a guy that never thought in a million years, Jim, that I would ever touch steroids or human growth hormone or anything like that. And it was Triple H, Kevin Nash, and Stephanie came into Gold's Gym. I was 19 years old and working the front desk, and I was at school at the time, UNLV. And my baseball playing days, I'd actually had a foot injury and had to redshirt my freshman season. And, you know, I was in school full time, and then I was working at the gym, you know, to have some money and to support myself. And they came in, and I talked about this before. I loved Triple H when I was a kid. He was one of my favorites, and they were in there and they were talking about some stuff. And we used to get all the pro bodybuilders in there as well. And they would always ask me, why don't you compete? Because I was 240, 50 pounds naturally at the time, and just a big kid, and I loved working out. And they started kind of, these bodybuilders would just kind of, you know, look into doing this. And I go, well, I want to be a professional wrestler, but I wanted to get my degree first. And they kind of started putting it in my head a little bit. And hopefully it was my choice and an adolescent mindset where I was comparing myself to other people rather than being just the best version of myself. And I go, wow, these things aren't so bad, you know, and at the time pro wrestling, it was what it was, and guys were doing it. And I saw, you know, the guys that I liked growing up, and they've openly admitted that they've used them in the past. And I'm, well, you know, they do it. I like these guys, you know, maybe I need to do this in order to make it and to be noticed. And I did them for a period of probably 3 or 4 years off and on, and never anything significant, but I was always a big kid. I just reacted really well to them. But I've always had that stigma stuck with me, and I understand it, because you got to look at any time we see somebody who's in shape or looks physically different than us. The natural human reaction is that guy's on steroids, that guy's on growth hormone, that guy's on this, and they're not with you every second of the day, and that's why supplements were so important for me as I threw out my wrestling career, because all the success I had in WWE was me making my own supplements, natural supplements, and pushing myself for 3 hours a day in the gym Because that's what Jim and I my advice to these young guys in NXT. That's what I look at. With the wellness policy, how can I stand out in today's day and age? Well, I have to look like they have to look like they used to look, even though I can't use what they used to use, and make myself the best hybrid, powerful wrestler that I can be. And I feel like I was very successful at that. But it was some early decisions that I'm glad I made, because it influenced a lot of things later in my life. And you touched on the TRT, and that's one thing. You know, a lot of people in WWE, I'll praise them all day long for the wellness policy and putting that in effect, because, and whatever their reasons were for it, you know, and I'm sure it was to protect their ass at the end of the day, but it benefits the wrestlers a lot. And it was something that I was proud of them for, you know, for implementing. And for me, being in developmental time of that, when it was during my time when I was 24 years old, 23 years old, and it, you know, that forced me to stop. And because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to do what I love to do. So, but for me, I suffered serious consequences from using them, where it had shut down my natural testosterone production. So when I was 28 years old after my ankle injury, there with the Nexus, WWE, in testosterone replacement therapy, it's not taking steroids. What it is doing, it is monitored by a doctor. It's monitored by the WWE and your own doctor, who has to be a board-certified endocrinologist, where they keep your testosterone levels right in kind of in the middle. Whereas, like, you can say that the range is 300 or 330 to 1100. They like to see you sitting anywhere from 500 to 650, you know, on whatever the levels are that they're measuring. And I was always within those ranges. And if you test out of those ranges, that's a failed drug test. So you can, you know, and then with prescriptions and everything today, people say, well, you could just take more. No, you can't, because you can't go get your prescription until every 10 weeks. If you run out in 6 weeks because you're taking more, you're shit out of luck and things of that nature. So like it was something for me. It was a way to keep my body normal with the stresses of WWE. With the lack of sleeping, because otherwise I would have had low testosterone, Jim. That's unhealthy as you can be. And to me, with the way that I pushed myself, I just wanted to be normal, and that's all I ever did. But when I left there, it was my opportunity to go. I'm 35 now, and another reason leaving is I've been on the road I've been with WWE since I was 22. I wanted to kind of settle down. I want to have kids here eventually, and you know, I need to meet the right person. But I told myself I had all these formulas for all this supplement stuff, and I go, it's now or never. Like, I need to know if this stuff is going to work the way that I believe it can work. And the manufacturer that I ended up working with the Feed Me More Nutrition, they were very good with me. And I go, it cost me some money. And I go, can you guys put this into a tablet form for me with these ingredients? I need to do a trial on this to make sure that this is what I'm going to market this as. And Jim, no joke, it restored my natural testosterone for the first time in 10 years. Wow. Where I'm now mid-normal on my own. I don't have to do the weekly shots anymore. Don't have to do the creams or the patches or any of that other bullshit. And that alone I'm so proud of. It's a lot of the supplement companies, it's all about making money, and they'll make a product that costs $5 to sell it for $75. I spent a lot of money up front making these things, and I'm selling them for the same prices as these companies at a competitive price, but they actually work. And it's something I'm truly, truly proud of. And it's now, you know, having kids is an option for me, which is something I've always wanted. So
we will talk more with Ryback about his nutrition business, and maybe how you can help you, ladies and gentlemen, help me. We'll find out how you can, and we can access it, and more with the big guy, after I say thank you to one of the sponsors who makes this show free for everybody to download, and who could also save you a lot of money, folks, when you buy your next car. I'm talking about TrueCar and the TrueCar app. When you're looking to buy a car, you want to make sure that you're getting real pricing on actual inventory. Unfortunately, a lot of times that just isn't the case. People configure cars online, only to find out later that they're not available. What the hell? With TrueCar, you get real pricing on actual inventory. And this is not pricing offered by TrueCar. This is pricing offered by an actual dealer. And not just any dealer, but a TrueCar certified dealer. With TrueCar, you can easily find the car that you want, see what others in your neighborhood paid for the same car, and feel confident that you're getting a fair price as well. Over 3 million cars have been sold by the TrueCar Certified Dealer Network. There are over 13,000 TrueCar certified dealers nationwide. TrueCar also shows you all of the specific dealers' incentives before you get to the lot. So when you're ready to buy a new or a used car, folks, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Gordon? Well, some features are not available in all states. Okay, one more quick piece of business here, because business has picked up, before we get back to Ryback and his alleged controversial relationship with CM Punk and John Cena. Well, I heard there's heat. There's heat, and I want to know the dirt, my boy. Well, we'll get back to Ryback and the dirt in just a matter of moments. But first, I know you guys love to be in the know when it comes to the Ross Report, so that's why Podcast One has created a new automated email system for this show. How about that? We're moving up the world. It's like having flatulence through silk. That's fancy. Sign up at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com/JR. There you go, you son of a bitch. Egg-sucking dog, Ross. Everything can't be JR. Well, here, excuse me, folks. Sign up to podcastone.com/JR and get everything you need for the Ross Report delivered right to your email. Free, and you'll never miss an episode. So again, sign up at podcastone.com/JR. Don't be an egg-sucking dog. Sign up now at podcastone.com/JR. JR, I'm going crazy. My brother Dory and I were going to kill a dog and JR. Back with Ryback. Very interesting conversation. We left talking about your nutrition business. Again, if those of us that you have piqued our curiosity regarding what you have created nutritionally, we can get all that information at feedmemore.com. What a great, that was a good catchphrase, or whatever you want to say. That was good marketing. Feed me more.
Yep. That's how I live my life each and every day. And I truly enjoy being able to talk to my fans and the fans of a lot of these independent shows now at the meet and greets that I'm doing, and writing the motivational book. And I did a signing in Vegas the other day, and it's always great. You wrestling fans and Jim and people that see you on TV, there's different kinds of fans, and there's some, and kids are one thing, and then there's some older fans that, they kind of can't see you outside of how they saw you on TV. And they're just, wrestling is kind of as deep as it goes with them, with what you're doing, and whatever else you say, it kind of is in one ear out the other. But there's others, that show up to these signings and meet and greets that show up with my book. And just this last one in Vegas, there were 3 people there out of, all the people there. There were 3 that had talked to me once before or read my book. And one of the guys was in tears. He'd lost 90 pounds since I saw him last year. And I gave him some advice. And he was doing the things that I'd asked him to do to change his life and to change his mindset. And to me, that's so powerful, just to be able to influence another human being's life and their mindset. And wrestling is great, and I love it. We all love it. It's such an escape for us, and I will always be thankful for that and love that form of entertainment. But there's nothing like helping another human being get their life on track and having them thank you. It's a very powerful and just humble feeling, and there's nothing like it in the world to me.
We asked some folks for some questions on Twitter, and one of the questions concerning Paul Heyman. Was it on the table at one point in time that you were going to be managed by Paul Heyman and presented with him in a TV presentation?
Well, I was actually I was with Paul for a few months there. What happened was, it was when I was doing the bully Ryback and bullying people, and I was actually, for the first time since they turned me heel, was generating heat and through backstage segments and some in-ring bullying stuff. Curtis Axel was with Paul Heyman at the time, and he had kind of ran his course. I think he had the IC title, and he eventually dropped it. He was feuding with Punk. And what happened, I believe, Paul needed somebody to buy him 2 or 3 months more on TV to extend his program with Punk. And they pulled me out of the bullying role that was going so well and put me with Paul. And Axel was kind of like the henchman, kind of like a sidekick sort of deal. And I feuded with Punk for 2 more pay-per-views, which just was, it was a time I was already so disheartened by everything. And it was that bullying role, even though ideally I would have preferred to have still been babyface Ryback with the way things were, the year prior. I had embraced that role, though, as I always did, and I always did what was asked of me, and it was actually a lot of fun. And I think they knew how much fun I was having with it. And we stopped it. We put me with Paul. We let him do his promos and do the majority of talking. And I just stared and looked like the big angry beast. And then we did the business with Punk 2 more times prior, like we did the year before. Just roles were reversed. And Paul, I respect Paul a lot. He's lasted in this business a very long time, but we didn't see eye to eye, Jim. And I had to have many discussions with Paul, because you have to remember, Paul and CM Punk were really, really good friends. And Heyman was supposed to be, from a creative standpoint, working with me and whatnot. And he was with Punk all day, and they were discussing business and what they were going on to, and it wasn't doing me any favors. And I knew that. And so that all kind of, if you remember, I don't know, it was during we were overseas on an England tour. Paul, I finally had enough. And Paul actually cut a promo. They split us away from it. Paul knew he had to get away from me because I was going to kill him at the time. And he had went to Vince, him and Punk, and they didn't do me any favors in there talking to Vince. I talked to Paul that night at catering at the TV hotel. Because all the business had been done, and if there's anything, I will always stand up for myself and what I believe in. And I had one last discussion with Paul at the catering table, in which he bought me beers for probably about 2 hours, as I cut a 2-hour promo on him about how everything and how, like, just what I thought of him and how he did his business with me, and I didn't appreciate it. And he held a butter knife in his hand, twirling it nervously the entire 2 hours. Jim, I kid you not, CM Punk walked around circles the entire time, acting like he was going to try to do something while I was talking to Paul, cutting this promo on him, which of course he didn't. And it was nothing was ever going to come to blows or anything like that. And I just verbally wanted Paul to understand that I knew what was going on, and I didn't expect it, and I didn't appreciate it. But from that point, we've gotten along just fine after that, just not working together and everything. And but that did happen, and our run was nothing. Anybody who's been with outside of Punk and Brock has not been good, and I would not consider that good by any means.
It's unfortunate, Ryback, because Heyman's got so much to offer, and I can see you guys doing some really significant things under other circumstances. Now, so how did that tie into the apparent issues? Because I know that Punk went on Colt Cabana's got a really powerful and a popular podcast.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear it, so I'm not going to quote it because I don't know. But I know that there were some things said about you on there by Punk that obviously were not overwhelmingly positive. What stimulated that angst?
I think it was multiple things. Me and Punk, I have no problem with them anymore, and I always will defend myself for that, because that blindsided me when that all came out, and it didn't do me any favors, Jim. But it was me and Punk, and not to say Punk gets along with everyone to begin with. He's kind of his own individual and a self-admitted asshole at times and whatnot. But he was always friendly with me, and then But you got to remember, when you're dealing at the WWE level, and you're dealing with those top slots, you're dealing with millions of dollars, and the two guys that I had all my problems with, and everybody else there I get along with just fine, was John Cena and CM Punk. And I'm not wrong on this. There's only a certain amount of slots up there, and those guys have those slots, and they wanted to keep those slots. And I think everything kind of stemmed from that. I do think Punk and working together, he was really beat up during the periods that we worked together physically, and he'd worked with other guys who complained about other guys when he was there, and that are notorious for being good workers. And I just think he was physically beat up, and I think he was frustrated, and I think he lumped that all in, because we had a couple things where towards the end with him up there, he at one point, I don't know if you remember this, he started doing my Feed Me More talk with the CM Punk, and this was when Vince had told me to stop doing the Feed Me More as a heel. Punk had started doing the same talk to try and kind of in spite of me, because he was upset from our first run. And I'd had a verbal altercation with him where we talked, and I go, I don't appreciate you doing that. That's what I was doing. I was told to stop doing that. That's what I got over. I don't think you should be doing the same gesture. And then when she went and got a video, well, I was doing it in ECW back in this, I go, well, you didn't get it over, I did. And I don't think he appreciated being talked to like that, but I'm sorry, it's the truth. And I think he personally that always never sat well with him. And, obviously he had his issues with WWE, and I think I just got lumped into all that. And it is what it is. And it's like, I don't hate him. I don't, not at all. I will stick up for myself, and people go, well, you got to let it go. And, well, if somebody asks me about it, I'm going to answer truthfully.
Sure. And
I'm always going to stick up for myself because I live it and I was there, and I know the truth. So it's unfortunate, and I think it's cool, though. I'm happy for him as far as, the UFC, and I know the fight didn't go the way that obviously he had wanted it to go, or have the performance that he probably felt that he could have had, but for just having the courage to take that chance. And anybody who knocks him for that, they have no idea the courage that it takes to be able to go out there and fight in front of the world. And essentially, it's being a modern-day gladiator and fighting to the death where there's rules where we prevent death from happening. But it's taking that chance. And I think it's cool. And I wish him the best in everything that he's doing going forward.
Do you think that he got into a situation where he got into not necessarily the two C's, the cash and creative issues, but obviously creative was a big issue for him, plus the fact that his body was beat all to heck, and that, I'm sure he had a hell of a time getting out of bed every day, much less trying to maintain that certain level of performance that a guy like him, an alpha male like him, would want to do. You think everything is kind of piled on, so to speak, and then the burnout happened, which helped him exit WWE? Was it just a simple matter of burnout and philosophical differences?
Yeah, and I think for a guy like him, he was never the stereotypical WWE guy. He always kind of had to eat shit, so to speak, from day one. And he broke a lot of doors down and up there for a lot of the independent guys, but he kind of had to live through that firsthand, like where guys now are getting opportunities from the independents. He, didn't necessarily get all of those right off the bat, probably like he felt he was, should have and whatnot. And not to say that he should have or anything like that, but I think when you're beat up too in wrestling, and I think all wrestlers have gone through this, it can make you almost. And I've always said I feel Vince and the WWE, they're a business, and they essentially hoard you out and run you into the ground, and then they replace you because there's so many guys that want those spots, and the brand is so strong now that they can do that and get away with it. But what happens is you start feeling this pain, and I've been there and I've been through it, and it gives you a negative feeling on wrestling at times. And I feel that Punk just was going. I feel like he had a lot on his shoulders. With the creative and the injuries and being beat up, where it kind of makes you resent the job a little bit. And I think that's where you can become a little bitter and a little angry. And, he went through that stuff early on in his mind. And even though he had a lot of success, I feel like at times, but in his mind, probably not the level that he wanted. And I can understand it because I know the level of success that I wanted and wasn't happy with. And for him, I think he was main eventing WrestleMania. And it's all in practice at different levels. And I think for him, after experiencing the struggles that he did early on, and just to get there, and then getting there, and then going through it, and having success finally, breaking through, and then still not actually truly getting that spot that he really wanted, his goal, so to speak. I think it was just a culmination of everything, and that doesn't make it right. So for me, I understand his frustrations with WWE, but I feel to lump me into that and to say personal remarks about me that weren't true on certain things, and it did a lot of damage because he said some things that were true, and he has a very strong following. So when people hear all that information together, they just kind of assume, oh, it's all true and whatnot, and that really, is what that hurt me the most. So
yeah, you think? I know we're conditioned in the pro wrestling business to say to memorize the cliche, "Never say never."
Yeah.
Do you think that the WWE fans have seen the last in WWE of CM Punk, or is there some ray of hope down the road for some level of reconciliation?
I feel like eventually at some point in life that will happen. I don't know if it will be as a performer or when those days come to an end. I don't know. I think he's hell-bent on, and I think he needs to have some success as a fighter. I don't think he necessarily needs to fight in the UFC again, even though I know he wants to. But I think just from a personal standpoint, he needs to kind of rectify that first fight. And the only way he's going to do that is with repetitions and having more fights, because he went down that path. Once you go down a path, I mean, I think after one fight like that and then coming back, I still think he can come back at any point if he wanted. It's obviously WWE felt like there was a situation to make money there, but I think for his own well-being and for his own inside Phil Brooks' mind, I think he needs to have a little more success at just any level doing this to justify going down that path. Not that it makes him any less of a man or anything like that, but just so I feel like he feels better with life after that, and I think it would do him better. But I think, if the option is there down the road, you never say never. We've seen it with so many guys. So that's why I don't feel bad about speaking the truth and about me leaving and why I left. And I know there were some guys there the day that I left, they knew I was leaving that are in higher positions. They go, well, just don't say anything bad about the company. And I just go, no. I go, that's the whole reason I'm leaving is because of my interaction with this company and what happened. And I go, it's too personal not to. I go, I can draw them money. They know I can make them money. It's all a game to them. And they'll bring me back or they'll talk to me if they ever want to talk to me, and we can rectify everything that happened. But I'm not shy of my abilities, and I'm very confident. So I'm not going to let the fear of telling the truth stop me from doing that. And Punk certainly hasn't either.
In your mind's eye, were your issues with John Cena, in your view, based on the sensitive nature of somebody losing their spot or sharing the spotlight? Was it kind of a creative? Because look, Cena's made a lot of money, and he's still making a lot of money. And I signed John Cena back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, he's beyond talent. I'll never knock John for his work ethic or his in-ring, abilities.
But was it just a professional thing? The wrong place, wrong time, Ryback? Because here's the thing. Maybe it's just my naivete, and if it is, you tell me. It just doesn't seem that he is that evil spirited guy. And I've
seen it firsthand though. So you got to remember that you're dealing with these top spots and a lot of money. And you go back and you watch that 2012 to 13 run, and there was a lot of money being made on my end. And I was dealing with things where John, I would be out in the ring for a match, and John was sitting around my peers, the guys that I went through developmental with, that I've known for years, and who directly come back and talk to me. John's just doing nothing but talking shit about the entire match. And then I would see John doing it to a guy like Alex Riley when I was sitting by John, watching the monitor when he had his beef with Alex Riley, just shit talking him to no end, like he was the worst human being in the world. And I've seen him on that end. And then I've seen it, like another issue was merchandising, where I talked about it was him and me, him number one and me number two for many months up there. And he had about twice the amount of things that I had. Well, I was never allowed to see the merch reports. Only John had access to that. And why he was allowed access to it and nobody else, you can answer that for yourself. But there was one merch guy who's no longer there anymore who used to pull the sheets for me to show me my numbers. And he goes, "You're right on his tails with everything." And I go, "Well, why don't we make more merchandise for me when my numbers are this strong?" And where they can't make enough merchandise for guys when they're running hot and whatnot. And they were just like, "Well, we can't get this, we can't do that." There was I was having to try to come up with stuff and then being denied. And so, like, I saw things on that end, just as far as that, and, like, when he was in with those merch guys, like nobody else's business. And, like, I was there in the inner workings of everything, and I saw it and lived it firsthand. And I'm not going to say that I'll never question anything in the ring, and I actually enjoyed wrestling, John. And we never had, even when things weren't perfect with us and we've gotten in verbal altercations, it never affected us going out to that ring and performing and doing business together, not once. And I would like to think that's a testament to both of us as professionals on that. But I'm just speaking solely from my perspective of what I went through, and I think it is an issue of those, when it comes to that amount of money and in those top elite spots, I think he's very sensitive to that, and I saw it firsthand.
Were you was ever discussed from a creative standpoint for you to work with Taker?
No, there was never. I always kind of said in early interviews, I had it, written down. I really, really wanted that from my own, personal standpoint. I thought that would be a really, really cool match. At that point in time, with the initial Ryback run, being undefeated going into WrestleMania with Taker's streak, and not saying I wanted to end the streak or anything of that nature, but I thought it would have been a great opportunity. And that's obviously before he lost to Brock and everything, but just to be able to get in the ring with a guy like that who's been around for so many years, because I'm from the generation of when all of us came from developmental pretty much, and I didn't get to wrestle with Edge and Christian and Eddie Guerrero and guys like that. So, I just think that would have been cool to kind of be able to just pick his brain and see how he does the match, to see how he operates when he's under the lights out there. I just think it would have been a really, really cool thing I would have gotten a lot from that, win, lose, or draw.
Absolutely. Class act is Mark Calloway, no doubt. And I'm not in any big hurry to see him hang it up. We all realize, heck, that he's got more matches behind him than he has ahead of him. But the bottom line is, I'm all for him continuing to work as long as he feels good about his performance, and he's not risking any more injury. There's no doubt at some point in time he's going to have to get a hip replacement. But hey, that could go for probably I don't know what number, but over half the roster, I guarantee you, will be great candidates for hip replacement surgery later in life, I would suggest.
Yeah, especially in this day and age with wrestling. And just touch on Undertaker real quick. It's incredible that this long, the interest is still there. Because I think the interest is still there because he backs it up still in the ring, where I think some other, you see some other legends and then they come back and, they get that initial pop, they get in the ring and you can tell they're not at the same level. I think Taker's still able to go at a really, really high level. And I think that's why it's so cool. We don't want to see him go yet because he still generates that interest.
Yeah.
But obviously his health comes first. And I would like to, and when he decides to hang him up, it's nothing but respect, and it will be the right choice when he decides at that moment to be the right time. But as far as the guys getting tip replacements, the style today it's much different than what it was. And I saw you actually said something about, guys, our finisher's dead. And I absolutely couldn't agree more. And that's one thing for me. I always protected my finisher, and still to this day will. And I think Big Show is the only one that ever kicked out of it once on TV when he was being built up for Randy Orton, when Randy had both the championships a few years ago. And that was Vince's call. I didn't want it. I remember going, it was like, well, if anyone's going to kick out of your finish, Big Show, there's no bigger human being in the world.
Yeah.
And but I think nowadays, rather guys telling a better story and being creative, they're just, what's next? You have to drop the guy from 50 feet in the air with your finish to get a pin right.
Come on. Yeah. The guys are cheating themselves. And I said this And I watched when we watched the Rumble. I watched the Rumble on the network, which I've been subscribing to since day one, and it's a great investment for me. I love the hell out of it. So when I'm a wrestler,
I still have my network from WWE. They refuse to cancel it. I think they want me watching it still.
yeah.
So
hey, watch it, man. What the hell? All right. Have you had any nibbles from New Japan?
So no, obviously with TNA or Impact Wrestling, and they made a great offer a while back, and it's just I have no interest of going anywhere right now with everything that I got going on. And everybody thinks that signing a contract is this great thing, but for me, branding myself in these other ventures, I need to be very hands on with them right now, and it's morning to night, and it's answering emails from fans and them questions. I'm not just the wrestler now. I own my own business, and they have to, when they ask for an answer on something about my product, they got to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
I'm the one that handles all it. So these things take time, and I'm still wrestling every weekend and traveling. And not to say that I don't want to, but New Japan. I know a few guys over there, and they expressed that there was a lot of interest, but I don't know who's in charge of making the decision. There's been zero contact as far as a phone call or an email or anything of that nature outside of just me hearing they would like to work with you. And I know there's a little bit of a communication gap with the guy that handles all that with the communications over in the United States here. But I would love to go over there and work Kenny Omega and go over there for 2 or 3 days at a time here and there. I'm totally for that. I'm doing that. I'm going away every weekend as it is for the wrestling. So there's a lot of great talents over there, and I would love the opportunity to showcase what I can do, as I've done. Last weekend with Destiny Pro Wrestling in Toronto, me and Moose, showed the people some cool things, and it was not even near anything what we could do together. But we had TV restrictions as far as time and had to keep it under 15. And but people are seeing a little bit of stuff that I was doing at live events that I couldn't do because I didn't have the time always in WWE, the 20-minute match, where, when you're out there for 3 or 4 or 5, it's harder to tell a story in that amount of time and to do some of the things. And Vince never liked me doing any of the dives or anything like that. He yelled at me every time I would even do anything close to that. So, but absolutely, there is interest in working with these companies. Just I'm so focused on all this right now, and I'm booked all the way through the summer, pretty much every weekend on the independents, and I'm enjoying life right now, Jim.
Good deal.
Really,
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Buddy. There you go. You found the formula. Enjoying life right now. Every day that you can say that is a damn good day. I'm enjoying life right now. Hey, I read somewhere, and I thought this can't be. The guy's 35 years old. Were you thinking about, or did Belatore approach you about doing some work for them?
Yes, they contacted my manager, Pat, and I enjoy the training, and I live here in Las Vegas, and there's schools everywhere here, and do a little jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and boxing. And when I was on the road, I would usually do one thing a week, on the one day that I was home, which, as you know, isn't the same as training full time, obviously. But I just enjoy, the conditioning aspect of it and learning new skills. I'm a pro wrestler. That's what I believe. You put your eggs in one thing as far as what you're going to do in life. And I eggs in pro wrestling very, very early on, and it was one of those things that they approached and they made an offer, then they made a better offer. And I think they're looking for somebody that to come in and draw ratings and whatnot on their TV. But I just was one of those things. I left the WWE to do these things that I'm doing. I'm not going to I have a lot of money invested in everything that I'm doing right now. And again, I'm 35 years old, and granted, I'm in great health and I take care of myself. But that's a morning to night job, and that's a job that takes many, many years to be very, very well rounded at. And I enjoy doing it, and I have a lot of confidence in myself. But that never once did I come out and say, I'm reaching out to these companies, and because I got a lot of things on social media, and I just told the truth. That one company approached me, and I told them what happened, and I had no interest in doing that. I'm sure I'm going to hear them out. I want to hear what kind of money they're going to offer me.
Sure.
That doesn't mean I'm going to do it. Any good businessman's going to hear the offer out.
Absolutely.
But,
Absolutely.
So that's as far as that went.
Yeah.
Right there.
Okay. Well, I heard it, and I thought, well, that's a provocative piece of news. I'll follow up with Ryback on. What are some of your favorite guys you've worked with on the indie circuit? Because it's a hot thing right now. There's a lot of indie guys making good money, like you. There are a lot of guys that can work and have some name identity, are getting booked very regularly. Who out there? Just a little short list of some guys that are out there doing what you're doing that you like.
Well, this past weekend I wrestled a guy by the name of Mike Orlando, who I was very happy to be in the ring with, who I thought was very talented. Who's a young guy who I think has a lot of promise. He's a bigger guy, and Moose, who obviously with Impact Wrestling he's about 6'5", 300 pounds, and he can go. And I think he has a lot to offer. So that was cool to be able to go out there and step in the ring with him. Kenny Omega is another guy who I watched that match with him and Okada, and where they went about 45, 50 minutes, and I thought it was incredible. And
did you watch the Access TV version or the Japanese version?
I believe it was with Kevin Kelly. It was with the American announcement. So,
because Josh Barnett, the former UFC heavyweight champion, and I do the play-by-play and color respectively for Access TV Friday nights. Mark Cuban's network used to be called HDNet. And we do the New Japan matches, and he and I had the opportunity to call that, and boy, that was a hell of a wrestling match. That was a great card, and I can see where you could fit into that New Japan thing at the right place, right time. But point being, back to my original question, there's a lot of really good talent. Sometimes people believe that if you're not in WWE, you're really not in the wrestling business, and although we both agree WWE is the biggest dog in the yard by far, you can still have fun, make a living, and enjoy life elsewhere if you choose.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people, I think they feel like if they don't see you, that you don't exist.
Right.
But that's not the case, especially in this day and age, Jim, with the social media presence. And I've hired a social media team, and I'm like, these are things I'm really, really working on trying to improve at, and I'm reading book after book on just because we have such an opportunity now with everything at YouTube and having more exposure than we ever. It's not like it was 20 years ago. It's a lot different now, and you can make a great living outside of WWE. And I'm thankful for everything while I was there, but I was very unhappy with the different things because I always want to be my best, and I know what I have to offer. And I had to get away, and it was great because I came from the developmental territories. I was a WWE guy. I've been with them since I was 22. I was homegrown. So for me, and Cody Rhodes is the same way. It's cool that we got to leave on our own terms, and I wasn't fired or anything like that. I walked out on my own. I left millions of dollars on the table to go and to do some other things and to still do pro wrestling because I love pro wrestling, and it gives me a new respect for it too because I get to just talk to guys that are coming up, and I was the young guy forever. It's weird now, kind of, I'm getting older now, and I still feel great and whatnot. I'm kind of experiencing it on the other side, but I'm still in my prime, and I'm enjoying the entire process.
That's good. That's good, man. Listen, feedmemore.com is a website that everybody should bookmark and pay attention to and visit more specifically, and check out Ryback's line of supplements. I'm going to go in there myself because I'm sure there are products on there, and you and I can talk about this offline, that I could probably be taking that would help me with a variety of things at my age and my lifestyle and so forth. So I'm going to check that out and circle the wagon back with you again on that. But folks, remember, it's feedmemore.com. Follow the big guy on Twitter at Ryback22. And if somebody wants to book you for either speaking, autographs, Q&A, wrestling, Ryback, how do they reach you?
We got 2 emails for that. You can usually go through Pat, my manager, at bookthebigguy@yahoo.com, or you can email the website, and I will refer you to that email. That is thebigguy@feedmemore.com, and all that information is on feedmemore.com as well.
All right. So, again, you can if you just go to feedmemore.com, it's kind of a one-stop for everything. You can what you need to find out or about the big guy Ryback, you can get it right there. Look, I really appreciate you taking your time. I really enjoyed our conversation, quite frankly, and hopefully we can do it again sometime. And I'm proud of your entrepreneurial spirit. I'm proud of you having the confidence and the courage to go out on your own. I know what it's like, and I don't know if I would be as independent at 35 as I am now at 65. But they both have their challenges. But challenges are good for us, man. Challenges are good for life. So
that's what makes you grow. Yep.
I'm happy for you, and again, I really thank you for being on the show.
Jim, I can't thank you enough for the opportunity, and I've enjoyed every second of it.
Well, I wonder what it'd be like to call a Ryback match in New Japan Pro Wrestling on Friday nights on Access TV. You might find out some of these days. You never know, right? So Ryback in New Japan would be all right with me. My thanks to the big guy for joining us. I appreciate his time on his busy schedule. He's got a lot of things rolling, a lot of things going on, but we appreciate him being on our show. I will tell you that our YouTube page is growing. It's free, jrsvideos.com if you've never checked that out. Also like to remind you that we're on Facebook, Jim Ross BBQ, Facebook, Jim Ross BBQ. I think I'm supposed to ask you now to like us. And our condiments are on sale. You can have them delivered right to your front door. You go to www.shop.com, of course, in Britain, americansoda.co.uk. I was told I've been saying americansoda.co.uk, and Kenny McIntosh told me that was wrong. So I'll take Kenny's word for it. Kenny's a smart guy. Kenny, bastard. So JR's, that's condiments, not condoms. So jelly. No, so barbecue sauce and ketchup and mustard, seasoning. Such big business. It just gets me down. So that's at americansoda.co.uk over yonder, and www.shop.com over here. T-shirts. Boy, our T-shirt business is good. A lot of the Slobber Knocker stuff going out the door. We got them up to size 5X. Ship anywhere in the world for you. ProWrestlingTees.com/Jim Ross. Get you some. And we're going to bring some T-shirts, by the way. We're going to design a brand new event shirt for our shows in Orlando. Keep that in mind. So a lot of good things coming up. Good stuff. Good stuff. Did I tell you who's on the show next week? I think I did, didn't I? Yeah, Teddy Long. Good guest. Good stories. I helped Teddy get his manager's job in WCW. And he'll probably tell you that I helped him get his job in WWE in about 98. But it's not really getting somebody a job. It's providing an opportunity and letting them run with the ball. And Teddy did that. He's been doing it a long time. I'm proud of him. I appreciate you guys. Proud of you guys for listening to our show, too, because if you don't do it, we're in trouble. Lucy, we're in trouble. And the sponsors keep this damn thing free, which is big. You don't want to be paying a premium price for a podcast, for God's sakes. Come on. And our sponsors are great, and that includes Amazon. They've been with us since the very first podcast, and now this is 158. And who said it wouldn't last, right? You can find all my sponsors, including my Amazon links, at podcastone.com, podcast1.com. All you got to do, folks, is click on the Killer Deals button at the top of the page, and then drop the bionic elbow, baby, if you will. Unless you're an Thathan or an errand boy. Are you a Thathan or an errand boy? I got links for Amazon UK, Amazon Canada. Where old Stu hangs out, right, Stu?
Yes, yeah, I got to have like 14 kids. I'm not sure. Well, let me count. I see there's Brett and there's Brett.
Okay, we'll get back to you on this. It's a good deal, though. Love the family. Natty's writing a column now for the Calgary paper. Proud of her. Good girl, that Natty. Thank God Natty looks like her mother, not the animal. Just saying. So we got Amazon UK, Amazon Canada, Amazon USA. And you guys know the rest of the deal. If you buy something through my Amazon link, Amazon always kicks back a couple of bucks to us to help us cover our production costs. But by doing so, it costs you nothing extra. There's no hidden fees, no gimmick charges, nothing. You just do your regular shopping through our link, our site, to the Amazon, a link of your choice, and you help us out in the process. It is that easy. So remember, next week, 2017 WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long is going to be with us. Shawn Michaels the following week. We've got some great guests lined up. Kevin Nash is coming on soon. So a lot of great things are happening on this program, and a lot of it's because of you guys' support. Well, I thank you for it very much. You know, when Stone Cold Steve Austin told me that I should be doing a podcast, I thought that redneck was crazy. But as usual, the old Texas rattlesnake knew what he's talking about. So here we are, and I appreciate him, and I appreciate you guys for making us successful. We're doing really, our numbers are great. They really are. They're really great. I really appreciate you guys hanging with me here on this thing, because I'm having a blast doing it, and I'm looking forward to doing more wrestling. Again, Friday nights you can join me on Mark Cuban's Access TV for New Japan Pro Wrestling at 8, 7 Central. I'm hoping to go back to the UK. I will be back in August in the UK to do the tournament, the big Pro Wrestling World Cup. That'll be fun for What Culture Pro Wrestling. So a lot of good things are going on. And speaking of good, do something good for somebody that's not expecting it. You will feel much, much better about yourself. It'll raise your self-esteem. You will feel better by being a good citizen. And the main thing, God bless, guys, the families and friends, the fans of Chavo Guerrero Sr., Chavo Classic, and certainly Nicole Bass, the great George the Animal Steele, the great Ivan Koloff. They will tell you our tomorrow's never guaranteed. So maximize life's minutes and take care of yourself. So from the rolling hills of Oklahoma, as the sun sets where does the sun set here? I guess it sets in the west, don't it? I'll be damned. The west. How about that? Like everywhere else. So from the rolling hills of Oklahoma, the sun setting in the west. I've got old JR Jim Ross saying, so long, everybody, for the Ross Report.
Thanks for listening to the Ross Report. Download a brand new episode every week at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com.
Hey, it's Jordan Harbinger. For the last 10 years, I've successfully helped people build their self-confidence with my Art of Charm podcast. And now, along with Art of Charm, I'm hosting a new show. It's Podcast One's latest program, The Forbes List. On the show, we talk to the Forbes editors that curate their famous and respected lists, like self-made richest people, billionaires, and highest-paid athletes. We'll get behind-the-scenes insight and information that doesn't make the print cut. It launches this week, on February 16th. So please subscribe on iTunes to the Forbes List, and don't forget to rate us, review, and share.
Now, here are the latest AP News headlines from Podcast One.
AP Update, I'm Rita Foley. Millions of immigrants living illegally in the United States may be targets for deportation under a sweeping revision of enforcement policies. This includes those here illegally who are arrested for traffic violations. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer.
The last administration had so many carve-outs for who could be and who couldn't be adjudicated that it made it very difficult for the customs and enforcement people to do their job and enforce the laws of this country.
Meanwhile, Republican lawmakers who are home from Congress on a break are facing some pretty angry constituents at town hall meetings. But top Senate Republican Mitch McConnell says showing up to protest President Trump's policies won't do any good.
In this country, when you win the election, you get to make the policy. I always remind people, winners make policy and losers go home.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell at a Chamber of Commerce luncheon in his home state of Kentucky. AP Update, I'm Rita Foley.